everyone, welcome back to the LEC for Rogue vs Fnatic, and I've got a couple of rogue charmers beside me. It's Mr. Drakos and Vedius, not only charming the snakes, whoa, that was scary.
The snakes, huh?
Yes, the snakes, but from snakes to steaks. I'm back on it because they are on the grill for this game. Both teams are looking to secure the best seed possible going into playoffs. Now, fellas, let's kind of get our heads around this one. You told me Fnatic are maybe getting exciting again. Rogue, you guys haven't given me an identity for them yet.
Okay.
You know, I'm lost.
So in defense of Fnatic, they're always exciting. It's just whether or not it's a train wreck or a highly performing LEC team. And they're back on the highly performing LEC team, at least from what we saw last week, which personally I'm very excited to see. This is a team that sometimes struggles to rally, but whenever they do, it always feels so explosive, and they go instantly from no threat to, oh my god, why do I have to play against this team?
Vedi, a little history lesson just for me. Week 6, wasn't here, didn't get to see it myself. How did Fnatic convince you on week 6?
Well, they played Pyke, which was great. Love seeing Pyke. Everyone loves a bit of Pyke because it's Hylissang's Pyke. It is one of his best champions, but not only that, it felt to me like Fnatic finally found some semblance of identity, which is something that they and many other top teams have been struggling this split. With so many shifts in the meta, there have been a big question mark among the Fnatic fans and many analysts as to what are the best champions for this team to find success on, and it felt like that we got to see some of that last week.
Okay, so finally some answers. They've been throwing a lot at the wall to see what sticks, but week 6 got some sticks.
And a lot. It's fair. It stuck. It stuck.
Thanks.
A lot of glue, I guess. All right, anyway, so it did stick. And I think the question really is, how deep does this go for Fnatic? Was this a one-off game where we got to see Jim, we got to see Pyke, and they were flexing some muscles? Or is there a depth to champion pools here that they can continue to find success? Because it's very easy, I think, for Rogue to come in and say, we don't want to deal with the Pyke, ban it away. And then suddenly, if that's the only trick that Fnatic have going for them, it instantly falls apart. So I'm hoping for more depth to champion pool. You see smiles on the players' faces, and that's always a great sign going into Champs League. Okay,
so that's one side of the coin. Fnatic look like they're taking to their seats. I like that they're still getting that huddle up and running at home. But on the other side of it, it's Rogue. And, you know, you said teams have been looking for identity. Well, you still haven't painted a picture for me at all. Like, I've got images for most. Rogue is just the other rookie team that's not Mad Lions.
It's like... No, you go ahead.
Well, Rogue is still, well, they were tied for first place, and they still are tied for first place.
So we should be excited. Why aren't there not fireworks?
Well,
and we're all
the thing about Rogue is that they are a good team. They're a consistent team. They're a reliable team. And often here in the LEC, that doesn't necessarily award you a lot of fans, because a lot of fans like the explosive, high action, high octane. Whereas I feel that Rogue is a team that all reliable. You know, it gets the job done. You have good players. They do everything that you need them to do, right? And I think that, in my opinion, one of the most controversial things about Rogue is if they've gotten better from last split compared to this split. And funnily enough, their matchup the last time they played Fnatic is one of the best examples to me as to why they have gotten better, because Larssen on Rise was unbelievable. He was getting like fully stacked tiers at 13 minutes into the game. He was solo carrying, roaming around everywhere on the map. And I feel like that this is a man I love to speak about every week, because I think that he is by far and away one of our best performing mid laners in the league right now.
So putting on that string again, does that mean, Drakos, in your mind or if in Vedi's, that this is a criminally underrated player? I mean, there seems like a lot of criticism levied towards him.
So overall, I think that Larssen has been very fortunate that while in the past, yes, he has had some of that criticism levied towards him, he's only really been the man known to play scaling champions. He's certainly shown us so much more this split, and he's very quickly become one of the top mid laners, which is incredible when you think about how stacked our league is with mid lane talent. Really cool to see him and Humanoid rise up, and I think he is going to be the strong point in this matchup versus Fnatic. And it's very, very important for Rogue right now, Alex, to just beat other top teams, because they've proven they can punch down for honestly the entire time that they've been in the LEC. But punching up has never been their strong suit, and you have to be able to win the best of 1, or I am not going to have any faith you can take the best of 5.
That seems like a pretty fair summation.
And it's one of those things where, again, Rogue, they were able to beat Fnatic. They recently lost to G2 in a game that they should have won. And so I was just still like, you know what? I'm willing to give you the benefit of the doubt, Rogue. Okay, you threw a game, whatever, fine. If you can smash Fnatic, then I'm fully bought into this idea that you're a top team, but you need to smash Fnatic. Otherwise, there's still going to be these question marks leading all the way up to playoffs.
So they need to. My question is, will they? Let's get some speculation. I know that's not usually your jam, but let's speculate. Let's theory craft. I want to know the win conditions that does lead to a Fnatic falling to the road.
For me, I know this is such a sports cliche, but like Fnatic are a momentum team. Once they start winning, I feel like they rarely stop till they meet G2. They rarely stop. And for me, like when they're feeling good, Bwipo and Hylissang always look so much better, and the rest of the components are consistent enough that I just don't see a world where Rogue can take this one. And maybe that's unfair to the achievements that Rogue have had so far this split. It's just, even though they beat Fnatic last time, this is just a different beast that they're facing this time.
In my opinion, with another patch on the board, I'm questioning how much Fnatic have been able to adapt. And so I'm kind of looking at Rogue as Mr. Consistent, and I'm saying that I think that they'll come into day one of a brand new patch better than Fnatic will. So if they're going to take Fnatic down again, I think today is the best day to do it.
Oh, okay, well, you have got me absolutely tantalizing at the prospect. That's not how words work, but I did it anyway. It is time for us to kick off the final game of the day. Fnatic and Rogue are about to hit the rift.
Thank you so much. Welcome to the Caster Disc and the very first TriCast of the Summer Split. We have locked Froskurinn in the cage. What I love about this, by the way, all of my caster notes that I'm going to be referencing are written.
You're just writing. Honestly, it feels ridiculous. I feel like I'm Obi-Wan in the Phantom Menace right now. It's like Darth Maul fighting my mask. I'm just stuck over here. I can't do
Froskurinn's
anything.
Darth Maul. Of course you're Yeah, you're definitely on the dark side. There's no doubt in my mind. So, we're about to jump into Rogue taking on Fnatic.
The cage is actually for you guys, it's not for me.
Darth Maul, talk to me about your expectations for this game, and we're going to be jumping into draft, and I'm hoping not to speak much. I want to see the two of you.
Okay, you've heard us say it all day. We're going to say it again. Reminder, playoffs are on the line right now. Now, Rogue are sitting at the top, pretty fat and happy right now, while Fnatic are on the rise. But the stakes for this game are different. Rogue, as the analyst has said, need to prove that they're not just warming the spot up there, that they deserve the spot. And yeah, last time they beat down on Fnatic, it was a different beast. And it's unfortunate, but I feel like what form Fnatic are in today will kind of decide how valuable this victory or defeat is for Rogue.
And the thing, I don't think Rogue want to face off against an easy Fnatic. They want a Fnatic that comes at them full force, because this can be a game where they do prove something here. Prove they certainly do deserve to be a cut above the rest. So I'm curious to see what we get into inside of this draft now, because already seeing some focus over at Rekkles, who has been such an awesome force for Fnatic.
Yeah, and already you can see that while Rekkles is also getting targeted out, it's also Selfmade, taking away something like that causes. I'm curious if they're going to allow the twisted fate through, Rogue that is, and give that champion to Nemesis when it's been such a mainstay for him. Now, one of the things that I do want to point out is that Rogue really prioritizing having push priority in their lanes. So even if they do give the TF, maybe they decide that's fine, because it means that Larssen can get something like an Azir.
Yeah, they love to have this push. They can play through Inspired, playing for objectives in the early game. On the other hand, Fnatic like to run comps with less tanks than Rogue do on average. You know, 1 to 2 tank compositions. And I feel like for so much of the split, it's been Selfmade on the damage. Then you relegate Hylissang to tank duty or put Bwipo on an Ornn. Last week, Selfmade, he took the Sett, he took the tank, freed Hylissang up to play the Pyke, and Hilly looked like a completely different player.
Well, first pick Senna here. Hans Summers played it once before, and it was a victory. And the Kai'Sa currently being hovered by Rekkles.
I do want to quickly touch on the Senna there, as I did expect an Orianna in the blind pick. Again, one of the strongest blind pick champions. And Nemesis, while he has shown the Azir, he's not a huge Azir player comparatively to the Orianna. Senna, though, does feel like, yes, it's a Hans Sama and VandeR pick. They've both run it, but also a huge denial away from what Rekkles and Hilly have been putting together. Senna has kind of been a crux, if you will, for a lot of Fnatic composition. So I feel like Rogue are already kind of pushing Fnatic maybe into discomfort, but I think Fnatic fans are probably pretty happy to not see Rekkles on Senna, despite how good he is at that champion.
I have to agree. I have to agree. The one thing that I really like that Vedius and the Analyst were talking about was Hylissang on a playmaker. It's also sentiment that I have seen from social media and Reddit analysts, of course. Just talking about that Hilly is that go-in type player, so I like him on things like the Pyke. Sett was locked in, and now Larssen with the blind pick is here.
Yeah, I think the Sett pick is huge for Selfmade, because it says that Fnatic have taken key learnings from their last game last week, where we are now very likely going to see Selfmade back on main tank duty. This means Bwipo can play a GP in the top lane or some other carry force. Hylissang is freed up to play something like the Pyke, depending on how they want to, you know, put this bot lane 2 versus 2 together, because you know Rogue are always going to be about scaling in the bot lane and the mid lane. Now's your chance, Hylissang, if you want to step on their throats early.
And we did talk about push priority as the Tahm Kench is locked in. We're going to check back into it as the game starts, but obviously Senna and Kench not necessarily known for their pushing power, even though Larssen still got the Azir. So we're going to see how that kind of impacts the map around Inspired. That's what I want to see. I think Bard is just the most powerful support in the game right now. You said you wanted Hilly on a playmaker. There is nothing more than the Bard.
This is something I love to see. It gives Hylissang the ability to roam around the map. One thing I was thinking is, can Fnatic attack around this middle lane early, get Nemesis in a good position? But also now that Fnatic do have long-range, non-committal engage, Bwipo is freed up to go wherever his heart desires in the top.
Now, normally when Fnatic pair a roaming champion from Hilly, they usually give Rekkles a very safe AD carry to farm. So that's why you see something like a Caitlyn ban. Yes, Caitlyn's also cropping up on this meta, but she can also be left alone by herself. Is this a Rekkles Karma game? Is this a Rekkles Ashe game? They need to find something that he can kind of just sit tight and allow Hilly to focus Nemesis's lane with Sett.
Yeah, I mean, because Rekkles has played so many different champions so far this split. We've seen him go for a lot of the mages down in the bottom lane, but clearly Rogue are saying we need to remove the long-range options that can match the range of a Senna later on. The Caitlyn and the Jhin now banned the Jhin that Rekkles did play last week, which looked so good, combining with CC supports in the bot lane. Could have been a pretty powerful combination there with the Bard.
Well, now we have to find out what Fnatic elect to lock in for Rekkles. That champion pool hit was immense. Ezreal,
That's a
Caitlyn,
classic.
Jhin, Sivir. It's your reliable champion that can sit in the bottom lane, push the waves, and unlock Mickey to roam.
Yeah, and it also actually works really well with Bard. Sivir Bard is one of the old school combos. You chuck the Bard ultimate, and then you press the Sivir ultimate, and you just slam onto whoever you catch out, as well as also being a Rekkles special.
Yeah, and it gets the Sett into the fight. That's going to be really solid. On the other side, Rogue now have a lane they can play through. Top lane with this Renekton, a Sejuani next to it. This is going to be a little bit of a different look for Inspired, not playing to put himself ahead, but rather be another huge tank for Rogue. Again, Rogue build up these super beefy front lines now with a Sejuani or Renekton, a Tahm Kench, because it's all about buying space and allowing your stars Hansama and Larssen to shine in the team fights.
And look at that last pick, the Ornn to round out the composition. I really like what Fnatic have put together. I also think it's relatively easy to understand, and that gives some confidence.
Yeah, and it's an old school Fnatic composition.
Yes.
We have seen this comp almost 1,000,000 times from Fnatic right there. So rejoice, Fnatic fans. It looks like your team has finally figured it out that there's not going to be any curveballs thrown here.
Now, just as an aside, this is the second time we've seen Sivir this split. The last time Patrick ran it against Fnatic and lost. Let's see what Rekkles can do with the champion. Turn our attention really quickly to Rogue. Senna, TK, Renekton, Azir. Slightly different look. What do you think, Enda?
Yeah, again, Rogue, very commonly, they're looking to scale. They do have some strong laners early on in the form of their Renekton. I also think Senna TK early is no slouch either from level 1, level 2. So I want to see what Rogue can do here. We have team fight versus team fight. We have engage. We have everything. It's all going to come down to the objective fights.
Well, let's see what Fnatic can do. Remember that if Rogue win this game, they guarantee playoffs, and they'll join Mad Lions in the postseason. Let's get ourselves ready. It's Rogue versus Fnatic.
There's often a conversation about the play style of Rogue. As I say that, a cute little level 1. And I feel like we've done almost a poor job of kind of putting very specific language onto Rogue's playstyle, or kind of the pieces that make up it. And for me, Rogue are a team that look for very quick resets to constantly apply pressure and gain tempo on the map by having numbers advantage. So what I want viewers to really pay attention to that Rogue do is how often they use push priority to shove in lanes, back, and then run to a different side of the lane. This allows them super strong Herald and Drake control.
And that's one of the things that I love when I watch Rogue, and Inspired in particular, is it feels like they play the mini objective game where they see not just the Rift Herald and the Dragon early on that Inspired is always going to solo, but when he's on more aggressive jungle picks, he'll invade the blue buff, he'll invade the enemy Raptor camps, and it's all about getting these slight advantages for the team where, you know, other teams will just trade it away because they don't have the numbers, and then you build up these advantages. That turns into a lot more with these scaling comps.
And it's really potent and powerful when you're on something like an Azir and a Sejuani, because your ability to skirmish in river, Sejuani still has surprisingly decent amount of burst damage. So she feels pretty confident to walk into River, and then you're going to feel even more confident when Larssen is on his specialty Azir pick, and will almost always have permanent push and be able to rotate to you faster.
Well, I'm taking a look at this bottom lane. One of the things, Froskurinn, you were talking about was this impact that TK Senna lane was going to have. A little bit of a race to level 2. Rekkles and Hilly getting much better trade right now. And Hylissang dropped to 200 HP.
And I actually think a huge part of that bot lane trade is the Guardian that Hylissang is going to be running. On the other side, it's an unsealed spellbook, so no immediate value for VandeR in the 2 versus 2, but the Guardian soaked up a whole lot of damage. Rekkles is also going to be running the lethal tempo, which when you do proc that against an enemy champion can help in the trades or also just clearing away minions.
Naturally, of course, Senna and Tahm Kench, we've seen it a million times, but it is a relatively difficult bot lane to deal with and to move. Now, Sivir has had some buffs, some nerfs, and some different changes over the course of it. Ultimately, though, it's still going to work the same thing since we haven't seen her in a hot minute. She's still going to need more levels before she's going to have perma wave clear. It got a little bit more difficult with the damage from her W, but her Q does a bit more damage, so she now kind of has a bit more team fight strength, especially in early skirmishes, without just that easy perma push wave clear, without relying on itemization and levels and her points.
Now, just as a follow-up to that, we were talking about how Sivir will eventually be allowed or, left alone in the lane so that Hylissang can roam. And then obviously you start looking at the matchups with Sejuani as well as Sett. I want to take a look at, as those plays start to come about, let's keep an eye on how well Rekkles is doing and how effectively Selfmade Hilly can combo once they start looking for plays.
Now, in the meantime, look at what Inspired has just done there, because he walked into the enemy jungle, dropped down a ward, got the vision plant too, so they see Selfmade up here, and now Inspired can play for that early scuttle crab. With priority coming through from the push on the bot side too, he's going to sprint straight through middle lane and take that crab down there too. So a great little experience boost, and there's nothing for Selfmade to trade for on the opposite side of the map. He's wasting a lot of time walking in here to say, well, all these camps are down, when in reality, this is going to accomplish nothing for Fnatic.
And Rogue do this every time. It's what we mean by when we say push priority is so important for them. How well it was timed that when Sama and VandeR managed to build up a big wave and Rekkles and Hilly allowed themselves to get pushed in, that suddenly VandeR and Sama are walking into river, that they're placing vision in that river or placing vision on an enemy blue buff to always give Inspired that information to make the choices that Ender is talking about.
And whose vision is going to matter more now? Because we saw Selfmade walk in and put a ward on the Rogue blue buff. Well, Inspired did the same thing, but Selfmade's pathing down here immediately. Rogue know that that's going to be respawning. Sure, Selfmade can clear this away, but it's not really going to matter at the end of the day. So Inspired has not only sort of kick-started the experience he's gaining because of those 2 early scuttle crabs, which Selfmade was not able to trade for in the long run, but it also gives the information over towards the rest of Rogue. You know exactly where Selfmade is going to be for the next 90 seconds.
So Frost, I kind of feel like when I look at Rogue, I anticipate Inspired and Larssen to be sort of key members of who's going to help win the game. But when I look at the Fnatic composition, who's going to be the key players to focus on at different stages?
I mean, naturally, I think it comes down to the execution of the comp. I feel like Nemesis and Selfmade's combo, especially for the early portion of the game, and unlocking Hilly to team up with this Orianna, especially once she gets level 6, is probably going to be the first place of attack for Fnatic. But otherwise, I'm honestly just going to have to watch how these compositions are going to interact and how their setup is going to be. It's a pretty clear and straightforward wombo combo-esque style of composition. But I think for early game, it's about Ori's ult.
And one thing I will look at too, whenever I see Bwipo on Ornn, his signature move on this pick is to get the push in top lane and then walk towards mid and look for a play alongside his jungler or even his support as well. So that is something that he loves to do. It's a little bit difficult in the Renekton matchup, but if Renekton takes a reset, a lot of times we would see Bwipo not match the reset himself, but instead use that extra time to try and build up an advantage for his team. Now, Selfmade did see Inspired on the ward just a little bit ago. He expected Inspired to go back to base, and now they're looking for the play time.
Slice and Dice has already been used, and despite the flash, no further follow-up. Fnatic will be happy. They've got the summon.
But the issue is that I think that Finn's wave state is in a pretty precarious spot. Hilly now mid.
Emperor's Divide goes out. Larssen really slick with Scape.
But that's the play that we were kind of alluding to. The fact that as soon as Orianna has ticked over to the 6, suddenly Hilly is blitzing towards that mid lane. Talking about Finn's wave state, I misspoke. You can see that Bwipo has actually pushed it back in. But anytime that gets frozen back on the other side from Bwipo, you know it, we know it, Rogue definitely know it. Finn has a very large target on his back.
So super important to notice as well, there's 2 plays made. Selfmade going top lane, and then obviously the bot coming out to gank middle. But because of that factor, now now Fnatic resetting. It's opened up this Ocean Drake, so it'll be the first objective of the game going the way of Rogue. Well, Fnatic weren't able to secure kills with their punches, but they did get the Summoner and the Ultimate from both Finn and Larssen, respectively.
I do want to look at the top lane CS for a second now, because I know Finn got ganked, he lost his flash, but he really didn't lose that many minions to the tower. The fact that he's down 10 CS in a matchup that is highly favorable to Renekton, I don't know if he's just been dropping minions or what, but that is certainly not the ideal situation. As Inspired is inside, what?
While that Shockwave doesn't manage to work out, that was the combination, Frost, that you said was integral, and it did not work.
Yeah, but I also don't think that control was working very well. I hope the observers can give us a replay, because I think that Inspired thought he saw something and the information definitely lied to him. I've never seen a jungler kind of face check into a very different situation like that.
Look, Inspired walking in is a huge, question mark over my head, but then seeing Selfmade pick Inspired up, say, no, I'm going to place you kindly outside of the jungle, or outside of the Shockwave, that is just crazy.
Okay.
Now, Inspired, he sees nothing right now.
Yeah, okay, so...
Oh, he sees the blue for just a second, yeah.
Yeah, but he knows the enemy mid laner is over here.
Surely he just doesn't expect that Selfmade is level 6. It has to be that.
Okay, so there's the devour from VandeR. Gonna spit out Hylissang, and Hylissang will be going down. Rekkles unable to return the damage. Senna TK giving a thumbs up to Fnatic.
Well, you have to pretty royally mess up there if they're gonna be able to just walk you down like that one, especially when you die with both flashes up. So I'm gonna say, yeah, thumbs up there.
Yeah. Thumbs down if I'm looking at that from Hylissang's perspective. Not super thrilled with what's going down in the bottom lane, because again, this is a matchup where you're looking at getting through the lane fields. Like, you shouldn't be dying in this sort of a 2 versus 2, and Fnatic need to sort of recalibrate after that, because now you've had the bot lane go haywire. The coordination between Selfmade and Nemesis wasn't quite there too, and this is a comp where you have a lot of different ultimates that can harm each other, right? When Sett's picking up people, putting them outside, Bard's ult can shut down an Ornn ult if it's not being layered up correctly.
And I've been waiting for Fnatic to recalibrate all summer long, and I haven't seen them dial in very often. They've lost the first dragon, they've conceded first blood. Now the first Rift Herald is under risk. The Hylissang's going to turn his attention to Hunt Summer, manages to use the portal over the wall. Call of the Forge God comes out. Shockwave whiffs again. Hylissang flashes forward, does not find the Cosmic Binding. Underneath the tower, takes 2 turret shots, gets blasted one more time. Hunt Summer doesn't have the railgun available, and Hilly escapes with his life for now.
Just walking out is not worth it, Fnatic. Take the Rift Herald and say, okay, that is enough right there. That was a little bit too close for comfort. Do want to take note that because Hilly did die, it means that he got to base faster and was able to actually get to the earlier reset and beat them to Herald. So I actually do like the adaptation from Fnatic right
All
there.
part of the plan.
Oh, yeah. 3,000 IQ on the play there.
I love it. I love it. Now, I'm looking at what's going down right now, and I feel like Fnatic are playing a little anxious, almost, right? With Hylissang trying to go underneath the tower. Like, they see plays, and they're just not quite putting the hands to the mind at the same time, and that's a problem.
We call that a hand problem.
Well, the hand problem is giving Rogue the advantage right now. Let's take a look at the lane swaps. One of the things we were talking about in terms of preparation was how pushing lanes could unlock the ability for swaps. Do you think this is the right move right now for us?
I mean, I think they rotated up here because they wanted to contest Herald. They showed up and then Herald was gone, but Larssen's actually kind of demonstrating the idea right now, which is shoves a hard lane in and then he walks back into the mid lane, and they're just doing a great job of funneling so much CS and gold onto Larssen. You can already see the difference opening up between the Azir and the Orianna. And again, when you check the monster objective control rates for Rogue, they have the highest in the league and virtually like Dragon, Baron, Herald, and it's because they love to play this style League of Legends. Also, I think they have a massive win rate when they have a lead at 15 minutes. It just speaks to Rogue's early game and how controlled it is as their playstyle. They're such a textbook team, and they're super clean in doing it.
And Frost, one of the players that we were excited about that the Analyst has talked about, Larssen currently has a 20 CS advantage. Rekkles has already been run down With Hylissang once, and this time forced to flash. Once on Summer and VandeR attack.
You gotta give respect over to the Glacial Augment Tahm Kench lane. Like, that is tough. If you're pushing up inside the lane, you get hit by one ability, one auto attack, you are gonna have to lose summoner spells, and that's what we see from Rekkles right there, and that's coming right up before Mountain Drake spawns. Of course, we still see a large focus from the dual lanes up towards the top side of the map, which I feel like favors Fnatic a little bit if you don't get, you know, the Tahm Kench and the Senna down there, but they're gonna have teleports very soon, and that's gonna mean Rogue can easily play for that objective.
Yeah, I actually feel like Fnatic are trying to play for the teleport, potentially top lane is bot lane play.
Bwipo does not care.
Oh, the rest of Rogue are on the way. This is bad for Fnatic.
While Finn manages to get taken out. Selfmade goes golden for now. The rest of the squad making their way down. Teleports coming in for Fnatic. Selfmade is low, 200 HP. Manages to get a gigantic shield. The tower helps out though. That's a reply back. The shockwave finally finds a target for Nemesis, but it simply doesn't matter. Bwipo can't go any deeper.
Yeah, and meanwhile, while all of that was happening, Rekkles and Hilly are actually still losing onto the top side of the map. Nemesis had backed up and was looking where he was going to use his TP. I feel like they were trying to communicate, are we using it top lane or are we using it bot lane?
And I mean, I just see exactly how Rogue want to play this game within that play too, because they have TP on Hansam and VandeR. They could have gone down bot lane. They say, we can get down there, we trade ults, or we trade kills, and then the TP gets blown from Fnatic as well. And we're just going to keep on farming because we don't need to force the issue too hard. We know Fnatic, that's exactly how they want to play our game. Well, Hansam is completely content to keep on farming up and looking for the later fights.
Well, Rogue are going to be very content with a 1,000 gold lead, and as Froskurinn said, with a lead at 15 minutes, Rogue are exceptionally adept at finishing the game. I do have a breaking news update that is legitimately important. Our stats team have run the numbers, and with all of the results that have happened today, Rogue are already locked into playoffs.
All right, pack it up and go home. This was fun.
Win or loss, they are in the postseason. Coming into today, there are millions upon millions of potential outcomes, and now that we've updated the stats, we can see Rogue out there, so that's a little less pressure, but let's see how they do for the rest of the game.
Yeah, but ultimately, Rogue's goal is not just to lock playoffs. They want to be an actual top team, and that means actually beating top teams when they're in top form. Now, that said, I don't know if this is necessarily top form Fnatic, but this is a very clean showing initially from Rogue, especially in that mid lane.
And Rogue are actually beating Fnatic right now, too. And you see within their play how they like to go for this, because we know they like to take those late fights, and Inspired cheats their way into getting these early objectives. That is now the first 2 Drakes of the game. We're going on to Infernal Rift, and that means they're going to be hitting exactly the points they want to fight at in 4 minutes for the next Infernal. They're going to have this very nice curve where they can take Fnatic in these river fights and look for yet again another very early Dragon Sword.
And it's super dire because that's like the Drake that Fnatic really need to fight for. It's usually the 3rd, otherwise you're forced into that pigeonhole scenario of giving away the soul. And like Ender is talking about, Fnatic simply just really won't have the itemization to do it. So they need to get really crafty about how they're going to get the advantage for Rogue in 3 minutes time.
Now, if their coordination can be calibrated correctly, that team composition from Fnatic inside the Dragon Pit or around it is going to be hugely influential, but there's the gold graphs on your screen right now.
The biggest problem for Fnatic, I mean, yes, Larssen and Hansam are very much ahead. Bwipo and Selfmade have more gold than Nemesis and Rekkles. Those are the 2 players that need money. I don't care if Bwipo got a CS lead. No, Selfmade's been a part of a kill. Nemesis and Rekkles need to find ways to funnel themselves gold.
Which is why you see this desperation here. They are just scrambling right now to find anything to attack on the map. And part of the reason why Rekkles doesn't have that much gold and Hilly is sitting at the very bottom is because for a majority of this game, look at what Hilly's doing. He's just he's floating around, he's trying to make it work. This was a huge bard pick and it has not paid off. It has actively hurt his team.
Yeah, but you also have to contrast that to VandeR on his Tahm Kench. That has been hugely influential, and this was one of the pivotal matchups that we had, the impact that these players have. Now, there is a potential setup for an engage. Rogue coming to around, but they may not be going in.
Yeah, Fnatic are trying to lure Rogue into a fight around this Rift Herald. I'm not sure if Rogue are actually going to take this one. Finn has level 11 now, makes him very strong in any sort of potential fight, but Inspired just looks for the steal.
Here comes Renekton.
There's the Smite Fight teleport coming in from Finn, and Fnatic are in full retreat.
Selfmade got it.
Selfmade managed to pick it up and get out. and Fnatic got the teleport.
Yeah, I mean, that's a great play there from Fnatic to be able to sneak that one away. Is Nemesis going to get chunked?
Oh,
Has
my
to flash out of
word.
there too. But I almost feel like at the same time, Rogue a little bit slow on the punch right there to call the TP in. Just ended up being a smite fight there, and Fnatic were able to escape.
Yeah, I actually think that they should have just let the TP go. It doesn't hurt them so much because Larssen still will have teleport available. And again, we're going to be playing bot side of the map anyway in 2 minutes with the Infernal spawn. That said, Nemesis losing his flash is actually pretty significant because you're against a Sejuani and Azir, and if Finn is also able to find a flank on that Renekton, suddenly now there's just not as much zone control as you would have liked from this Orianna because she has to play so safe.
Man, Hylissang so badly wanted that kill. Wasn't able to do it. Larssen's Emperor's Divide managed to save his life. I'm just trying to find all the praise for Larssen at the moment, who has dodged every single engage from Fnatic.
It was a little odd right there because Hylissang very clearly wanted to make a play happen. He's dropping the ulti on the tower, puts the portal in. At the same time, Selfmade's like, no, let's just put the Herald down. We're not diving. That's crazy.
They're not calibrated on the same page.
Exactly,
and,
exactly.
It's consistently the same problem that we're seeing from the Fnatic squad, and it doesn't seem to be getting better. The one question I do have for Froskurinn is that the general tone that we have right now is very concerning, right? It's a 2,000 gold lead, it's a 2-dragon lead, there's a minute till the next one. Are Rogue further ahead than maybe the metrics are currently describing?
I mean, in terms of where the dragon state is, the fact that it's an Infernal Stole, and the fact of the itemization that Rogue have in the game state right now, yes. They are very powerful for what is comparatively a small gold lead size. Walking into this Drake, Rogue are going to feel really confident to do so. You can see they've already set up Azir. Larssen has the teleport on the top side of the map to get that wave pushing in. They are perfectly ready for this 30-second fight.
Yeah, oh wow. Bwipo just pops the ultimate right in mid lane.
He has to force.
Between the uprights, that is absolutely not going to happen. 25 seconds to Infernal, and that's not available. Now Bwipo face tanks the tower and is forced to flash defensively.
Because he knows they have to force, they have to do something. They need to make sure that it's an unfair fight. Fnatic are getting really desperate and forcing way too hard here.
But not like that, exactly. Way too hard coming through from them, and now the Drake has spawned. Bwipo no flash to ultimate. They can't fight that. He has to go up top lane. The Rogue are going to be able to get this one for free. They have better items. Hansama has a Duskblade. Larssen, if he wanted to, could base to finish off his Leandries. But he knows, even without it, they are so much stronger than Fnatic right now. And Larssen, he does it again.
And now it's even more dire. You can see it. Fnatic knew they had messed up. The Ornn ultimate wasn't available. We called it. They give it away. Now we're on Soul Point. Now Fnatic have 5 more minutes basically before this game ends. And Rogue are just in cruise control. They feel amazing about this.
And I'm so disappointed for Rogue. Do you want to know why? Because I think Rogue wanted to face a real challenge today and prove that they were better than Fnatic in form. Fnatic are not in form. And it still leaves us without answers. Last week, Rogue were capable of taking down G2, but couldn't pull it out. And now
here's an answer.
Is going to get locked down. That's a good shockwave, but there's just not enough damage. The 3-man shockwave, frankly, didn't do enough.
But now the momentum is there. Trevor, yeah, Fnatic's not in form, and Rogue are really starting to recognize that, but now they're going to start playing with their food. I want to see Rogue show what Mad Lions, what G2s do to teams that they know that they're better than, and it's really to start bullying them and pushing them around.
And we just got the first little taste test of that right there, too. Tahm Kench ulting all the way underneath the tier 2 turret in the bot lane, knocking that one down, almost killing Nemesis too. And Rogue, they're in a position now where it is so easy for them because of the state of the map. They can control mid lane, they can control vision. They don't have to force anything around a Baron or anything like that. They will wait until Fnatic come to them because, as we've said before, Fnatic are getting desperate.
And the nice thing is that even though they're not running a traditional ADC, you know, a Senna versus something like a Sivir, like an Ashe, their Baron is still rather quick because they have a Blade of the Rune King Renekton as well as an Azir. Rogue will often play the Senna with the Azir. Fnatic, when they play the Senna, don't always play it with the Azir because Nemesis doesn't really prioritize that champion as highly as Larssen does. So it really helps even out their comp. Even as we turn to a monster objective like Baron, Rogue still have great threat on it.
Now, Fnatic did just pick up their second tower of the game. It is 3 minutes until the next Drake spawns. We know Baron is available to, well, basically anyone, and now Larssen will once again be the target of an engage. He's once again the sliding, shifting sands easily escapes any potential threat from Hylissang.
It's just too late in the game for Fnatic to try and kill Larssen. Larssen is the best team-fighting mid laner in the LEC right now. You have to hit him early. They failed to do that, and here they go again.
I mean, goodbye, Selfmade. The jungler is down. Call of the Forge God comes out. Now this is a 4 versus 5. That's Hans Summer forced to play defensively. He's taken out. Nemesis gets the man. Now it's 1-for-1. Shockwave comes back. I think anti-synergy, I believe the Tempered's Fate prevented the damage. Fnatic, though, definitely are in a good position. VandeR and Finn, as well as Larssen, escape with their lives. 1-for-1 trade to end it all.
And I will say Bwipo's ultimate right there was absolutely huge because Fnatic should not be able to find these great fights currently. Rogue lined up for it though, and they were able to knock down Hans Summer. The thing about Rogue compositions is that there's really 2 players you need to look at to take out, and then you win the fights. That is Hans Summer and Larssen. When Fnatic succeed, the fights are winnable.
But currently, at this point, Fnatic maybe get 2 more fights or 2 more opportunities to try to do that. Yes, Larssen doesn't have flash. It's not as significant or meaningful because he is the Azir. And we've just been seeing kind of these maneuvers every single time. And reminder, Fnatic are desperate. They are constantly just trying to find Rogue at any point and just sucker punch them. That's the only option that they have right now. And you can tell they've completely forgone just trying to farm out the lane phase. Rekkles is sitting on Essence Reaver and a BF sword.
Honestly, it's surprising to me to see Fnatic commit into this fight, but Bwipo makes the call, and that's the ulti. He doesn't get CC'd up, so he's able to knock that one through. Hans Summer took so much damage in the front there as well, but you can see on the back end of this fight, it's a little bit hard when Rekkles gets chunked out on that Sivir to actually deal damage to the Rogue lineup because he's so low range.
At the end of the day, 1-for-1. The goal difference still sits at 1,000. 1 minute until the Infernal. Finn gets caught by the Tempered Fate. Now the Cosmic Binding needs to lock him down, and it does not. Finn able to slice and dice his way to safety. Hylissang is swinging, but Fnatic are missing.
But Fnatic keep going too soon. We're 50 seconds out from an Infernal Drake. Even if they get that kill, Finn respawns and walks back onto the map. Now they are down their ultimates one more time on a Sivir and a Bard leading up to this Infernal. This means Rogue get mid control. This means Rogue get river control leading into this objective, and Fnatic are not going to be able to find the right foot to approach the fight.
Froskurinn, these execution errors reminiscent of what we've been seeing from Fnatic in previous weeks.
I mean, yes, but I also think it's individual performances that are really falling down here. I think the idea, like, I agree with Ender that the timing is off, but, you know, maybe Fnatic are just trying to desync back timers and just kill someone from Rogue.
If you're going to watch anyone from Fnatic in this fight, watch Selfmade. He's on the flank all the way underneath. He has to pick up Larssen or Hans Summer and nuke him at the start of the fight.
Yeah, Hylissang's going to try push Finn away. There we go to Vision. Thank you, observers. Finn will be able to match Selfmade for now. Rogue, now back away.
Now, Selfmade needs to grab Inspired, dunk him on Larssen, and then hopefully face breaker the Azir, and hopefully in that, the Shockwave kills Larssen, otherwise this fight's over.
Infernal Drake down to 4,000. Rogue holding on to it. Glacial Prison's available for Inspired. A Fnatic group up, that's going to get fired. Exhaust onto Finn. He's going to get chased down. Dragon's inside the pit. Fnatic are fighting on multiple fronts, and they've got killed to Finn. Curse the Blast Mist have already been shot down, and now Selfmade's in trouble. So is Bwipo. There's the Sand Soldiers going back as Larsen's on the retreat. Fnatic have won the fight.
And they're chasing down Larssen now too. Hylissang's gonna shut him down. They get the Drake on top of that, and Fnatic are once again in control. Hylissang spent so much time delaying Finn on the side, and then Rogue seemed completely confused as to what kind of fight they wanted to take.
Rogue are so good in the first 15 minutes of a game, but just like their throw to G2, when it really comes to it on an open map, when they have to have that consistent setup, just a miscommunication. The fact that they were split from Finn, that they were focusing different targets, and Fnatic were just faster on the trigger for a very key fight that keeps them alive for 5 more minutes in this game.
Froskurinn, you said Fnatic have 2 fights left. They've won 1 of them. Now they have 1 more fight, 1 more opportunity to not throw. Once in a lifetime, no? And turn our attention to Nemesis, who's going to be able to escape with the help of Hylissang. But no, very crucially, Fnatic with the Infernal Drake, with the fact that they've shown they can win now a couple of fights in a row despite questionable decision-making leading up to it, this has to be a little bit of momentum on the Fnatic squad.
I think one of the key things is the itemization that's now finally coming in for the Sivir. Has the completed Infinity Edge and Essence Reaver, so obviously has much stronger battle stats, but also level 13. So has 5 points and 2 of the abilities, the Q and the W, and that actually means a ton against a composition that has such long range like the Azir, because the W is going to mean that much more when it's able to bounce back and hopefully crit someone out.
Yeah, and Sivir has so much value against big, beefy, tanky frontline comps because it rattles around, because you can actually auto-attack pretty freely. Hylissang gets caught out.
What was that decision? Why? Why? That is the question I want to know. I have seen that too many damn times in Summer.
I don't know what to tell you, Trev.
There isn't an answer.
Unbelievable. Okay.
I guarantee you in the comms, the same thing's happening.
Now, it is such a difficult scenario because it feels like Rogue have done more good things throughout the course of the game. But the game state feels even, and it feels like these fights around either Dragon or Baron are going to be what's going to determine this. Do you think that's fair?
I mean, I think an issue is kind of the front tank line for Rogue. If you look at the champions, it's Bork Black Cleaver for the Renekton, so not any true tank stats, and then Sejuani is, you know, a couple of pieces of the armor, a couple pieces of MR, like a Bwipo. Bwipo's a big deal right now. in terms of an actual front-to-back fight, it's harder for Rogue to kill the front line for Fnatic. And I think we saw that kind of in the last fight, and now it's just a question of how long can that front line sustain for Fnatic's carries and Nemesis and Rekkles to get the damage necessary that they can make use of all of his tanky stats.
And to talk to me about that question, because Fnatic and tanks is a discussion that we've had off air.
Yeah. I mean, Fnatic are a team that usually play fewer tanks than a Rogue, so Bwipo has to do a lot of heavy lifting. Him and Selfmade in this game going to be big deals, and I love how Bwipo's trying to spread the love a little bit in this game. He's the Ornn, he's given, you know, the Infinity Edge, the Rabadons will come through soon, but it's also going to be a redemption now on the Ornn, which I think is an excellent item on the champion to help buff up your entire team. It's going to make it even that much more difficult for Rogue to cut through Fnatic, because I don't believe Rogue have any sort of anti-healing just yet.
It was a question that we had, Ender, when who is responsible for the tanks on Fnatic? You know, Selfmade and Bwipo are obviously in the driver's seat right now, and that does free up Hilly to kind of just do Hilly things. And even when they go wrong, if he's not carrying the responsibility of being the frontline tank, it doesn't necessarily hurt the team that much, because I would rather Hilly do Hilly things on a champion like Bard than Hilly do Hilly things on the only tank that Fnatic have and then completely lose them a frontline because he decided to face check a Raptor camp.
I completely agree with that one. And as we're a minute away from the next Infernal Drake, reminder, it is sole available for Rogue. Gold is as even as it's going to be. Kills are bang on even. And there's one task separating the teams. Keep your eyes on the itemization as this next fight could be influenced.
And that's what I want, which is why the observers are beautifully showing us Nemesis right now, because look at Nemesis's items. You see it, I see it, we know exactly what he wants.
He's gonna get a pretty hat.
Fnatic need that hat because Rekkles is strong, Nemesis is strong. Now they can make full use of Bwipo's tanky stats.
Now, Larssen is recalling right now, too, and he was split on his itemization. So he went Rabadons and then a Blasting One. That's now going to be a Void Staff. He recognizes that he, too, needs some damage to cut through the front line, but Nemesis doesn't have enough money for the Rabadons. He doesn't have it.
Okay, Fnatic, the potential is there. You have almost all of the items you need. You have the team fight capability. Now, show me the execution. Call of the Forge God comes out and the Glacial Prison interrupts it. Inspired may have just saved his team's life.
Larssen is good position.
He's going to use the Bellows Breath, and Larsen's trying to use those Sand Soldiers. The Shockwave on Finn was frankly not enough. Now all of a sudden Selfmade's in trouble.
Larssen had a beautiful position on that fight. He zoned away the entire squad of Fnatic and just let Selfmade out to dry. That is on the Infernal Soul, and there is no smite. Fnatic have to fight this.
Once again, we saw Fnatic tank caught out of position. Bwipo ulted. He was too far forward. The rest of his team punished for it. And now Rogue are going to secure the Infernal Drake, the Infernal Soul for free.
Burn, baby, burn. Rogue are the real deal, and Fnatic are faltering.
But this is the thing. It's not flashy. It didn't end in a huge team fight. It didn't end in explosions. Watch Larssen. Watch where he stands. Ender called him the best team fighting mid laner in the league, and this is why. It's so basic, but with this, he secures his team Elder Soul and possibly the game.
Look at the Sand Soldiers. Fnatic cannot walk past those. Bwipo is up there. He thinks his team can follow up. They absolutely cannot.
And you know what, teams in the LEC, you don't have to like it, but you must respect it. Rogue are the forgotten first place team, and they deserve to be on the top.
And the thing that I really, really love is coming into this week and looking at last week when we branded them the forgotten first place team, we challenged ourselves as a broadcast to find ways to visualize and explain their power. And Froskurinn and Ender, you've done a fantastic job this game, especially with that previous team fight. Now, Fnatic are in trouble. They baited out at least the TK ultimate as they threatened Baron. There is an Infernal Soul on Rogue, 5 minutes to Elder. And we've already talked about how Rogue can play around the Baron. Frankly, with the Azir and the Renekton, I think that we can melt that fairly quickly.
It's going to be really tough for Fnatic. If you're going to give them any sort of faith, though, it is that level 16s have come through for their solo lanes. Bwipo has now handed over the Rabadon's Death Crown to Nemesis. That is so huge for Nemesis because he actually pivoted his itemization. He went much more defensive with the Banshee. Bale's a little bit worried, and here we go, Selfmade.
Okay, Selfmade's going to deliver VandeR. That will be a kill for Rekkles. Now it's 5 apiece. Call the Forge Guard, knocks up Larssen. Emperor's Divide buys enough time for the rest of Rogue to escape, but a man down and a Baron available. Hilly throws out the Tempered Fate. Angry Bee from Finn. Cosmic Binding needs to connect with something, and it does not.
Oh, no.
The damage in return. The Whiffed Shockwave as well. And Hylissang does Hylissang things.
Oh, Selfmade going in.
He is indeed. Turns his attention onto Finn. He's blown up. Why? Why? The rest of Fnatic were not there. Curse of
Larssen on the flank.
is fired down, and there comes Larssen. Inspired manages to get the knock-up on a Bwipo. He's once again locked up and stunned by the Sejuani passive. Finn is going to force the flash from Nemesis, and just like that, Fnatic
the teleport.
pick, and now they are in trouble. TP onto Nemesis from VandeR, looking for the lick. No follow-up support. Why? Because Baron is a bigger objective.
Fnatic were in a position where they got the pick. They had full map control, but they overdove in the mid lane. Rogue attacked them. They flanked them on the backside. They absolutely punished them, and they're once more back in control.
I want to make it even more simple. Fnatic threw. They had an opportunity back into the game, and they overforced, and they threw it. Rogue are like just outlasting them, out-endurancing them. If this is between two boxers, Fnatic are throwing all of their strength behind every single sucker punch, and Rogue are just letting them tire themselves out.
Yep, absolutely the case. So this was the first pick, and I start thinking, oh, this is not bad.
This is a great pick onto VandeR. This is everything you could hope for. After that, they CC Larssen, and he gets away. And Fnatic, from this position, I don't feel like they were strong enough to instantly turn on the Baron. Even in the 5v4, because it was just the support, it wasn't enough. But here, Finn does not get tagged by the Cosmic Binding. Sidesteps that one, and Hylissang is hung out to dry under the tower.
But also, the disconnect. You see Bwipo on your screen now, but when Hilly is hard chasing for that kill, Bwipo and Nemesis were walking topside. What is happening in comms right now? Why are we diving towers?
And the rest of Fnatic can't follow Selfmade there, because again, Larssen is on the flank. The communication is falling apart. Fnatic do not know the responsibilities of their teammates in these team fights.
And again, we cannot take anything away from Rogue. Every mistake that Fnatic has made has been punished. Rogue are in the advantageous position. More ultimates chucked at Rogue, and it doesn't matter. Fnatic just did not connect with anything. Rogue, with Baron buff, with the Infernal Soul, are now looking to kill Hylissang as well. They are donated kills. And Rogue are playing fantastically the way Rogue have all summer long.
Just stop trying to pick Larssen. It is never going to work.
That's what I'm saying. I'm like, Rogue, no, Larssen. They just threw 20 ultimates at the guy, and he's still like, okay,
Based on what
fine.
we saw from G2 earlier today and what we're seeing from Fnatic, right now, this Fnatic will not stand up to G2 tomorrow. A lot more needs to change.
Forget that conversation, Trevor. G2 and Fnatic won't stand up to Rogue in this type of form.
Yeah, but that we knew already. This time round, Rogue are looking at the Nexus. Rogue are looking to stay tied with Mad Lions. They are already booked into the playoffs. And Rogue may have faltered to G2 last week, but they did not fall to Fnatic today.
All I have to say, Rogue stand on top, remember the name. Do not forget the forgotten first place team. Yeah, they fell down to G2, but it seems like they've gone back, they've reworked the tape, and they make a statement against a Fnatic.
Yeah, no doubt about it. Rogue and Mad Lions are looking at the finals right now, and the old guard are faltering. Rogue destroyed Fnatic.
Larssen just styled on Fnatic. I think each player threw one good shot at him, and every single time he was just better, and it wasn't even close.
But here's the thing. You probably knew it was going to be Azir. You had the opportunity. You yourself could have taken it. And maybe Nemesis feels differently about the matchups. Maybe he thinks, if I pick the Azir, I'm just gonna get Zoe'd. But I just have to think, why? Why would you give it to him?
You see the faces of Fnatic. They are not a happy team, and they shouldn't be. Because frankly, those mistakes should not be happening at this level for a team of this caliber. Rogue, on the other hand, no one is forgetting you now. You cannot underestimate this team. Key player of the game suggestions at LEC on Twitter. Inspired, Larssen, and Hans Summer. I mean, Rogue, they made a statement.
I don't even think it's close there. I think if anyone doesn't give it to Larssen, they're trolling.
There's no doubt in my mind. I mean, look, at the end of the day, I think a few small mistakes here and there, but frankly speaking, from the very early game, Rogue were in control throughout.
Rogue controlled the early objectives. They controlled the fights. The gold was close. You could look at that, and if you weren't paying attention, you say, that was a close game. Fnatic were in it. But really, Rogue were almost always in control.
They absolutely were, and at this point in Episode 1, Darth Maul kills me and you kill her. We'll soon hear from Larssen before Vitality's comp joins us in the post-game lobby. Don't go anywhere. That's why you're locked inside.
Howdy, ladies and gentlemen. It is my least favorite part of the show and Trevor's favorite. It is the post-game lobby. I'm Machine.
Tell the viewers why. Why is it your least favorite?
Because I'm the smiley joker who can, I can do the job, but I just don't really know the game.
I get what you mean, yeah.
And this is the one part where everyone's like doing the hardcore stuff, and I'm like,
Can I throw you a little bone? Let's talk about my shoes. So I forgot that I was going to be on this.
Wow.
I definitely should not be wearing Star Wars sneakers.
Star Wars. I was going to say it's kind of a steampunk. Like you've got like a steampunk conference in the morning.
They're actually like the Millennium Falcon Star Wars shoes.
Okay.
So there we go. How do I get those on camera? There we go.
You got them.
Nice.
You got them. I'm just going to.
So, anyways,
repping ESL.
Our stylist and my manager is going to be so disappointed because I just forgot, and I'm not meant to wear these. I'm meant to wear my.
Would they be less upset if you took them off and went socky?
Oh, definitely not.
That would be
so
dramatically worse.
It's so much worse.
Well, while we're doing fashion critique, while we wait for our guest, what do you think of the dangly earring? I might actually get it pierced tomorrow.
I really like it.
Yeah, I think it might be the one.
I'm a little sad that I was left out of the Cool Kids Club because you, Drakos, and Ender all got them. And it's fine. It's fine, right? Like I get it. I'm like the old boy on the show, and like
you understand. It's like it's the same reason you don't want to, give your dad the same T-shirt you have for Christmas. You don't want to.
It sucks hearing you say dad. Do you know what I mean? Like it stings. I can't. It stings more.
I don't know if I can get away with it either. 27 next month. We do have to go and keep this ball moving. So why don't we go ahead and jump into that interview before we get PGL started?
Okay.
Thank you very much. I'm glad we cut you off, Trevor and Machine. What is that? I hope you have some interesting stuff when we come back. Just kidding. It's a real laugh. But hey, Larssen, thank you for joining me.
Hello.
Hello. Congratulations. Great stuff once again, beating Fnatic. Now, the gold looked fairly close. Some of the team fights looked fairly close. But there was this distinct feeling that you guys were very much in control. Was that also the way you felt within the game? And why do you think you had so much control over this Fnatic team?
I think we had control because we were in the lead in the early game, I think, and we also got to the soul point quite early with the Infernal Soul. And the Infernal Soul is obviously a very strong Drake, so it felt like we were in a very good spot. But then it just happened that it's soul point, so it was gonna come down to the big team fights. And at the soul point, we kind of messed up really hard with Renekton flanking, and it was kind of stressed for us. But I'm happy we calmed down and play the rest of the game like we normally do.
You talk about the importance of those team fights, and I was actually trying to get like a flashy replay of an Azir play, but so much of your play always, and especially in this game, is about the zoning, and it's just about making sure that your other teammates can do what they need to do. Ender actually called you the best team fighting mid laner in the league. Would you consider yourself that as well? And what do you think your strengths are right now?
I'm not sure if I would consider myself the best team fighter mid laner. I think I do very, very well in team fights, but it's not anything I think about. I just think about playing the game optimally. And I mean, why I'm always strong in team fights, I think, is because I'm always very strong in the game. I always have very high CS and high kills, so I'm usually quite fed, I think, which makes me very strong in the fights. So I think that's what I'm doing well. And I think my team is also playing very well. My front line is... Let's say if my front line is running it down, it's hard for me to play the game, I think. I think a lot of teams, their front line is kind of just running it down, and it's hard for the carries to do much because they have inting front line. But I think my front line is doing a really nice job, so it makes it the job kind of easier for me.
I love it, just calling out the other teams. Well, I can't help it that your teammates are running it down. I'm just doing my job here. Good stuff. You guys also locked playoffs indirectly. It wasn't just because of this win, and it's a very early point in the split to lock playoffs for a team like Rogue. If you look at kind of the development of you in the last couple of years, what does it mean that you're able to lock in that important playoff spot so early in the split?
It doesn't really matter. We expected to go to playoffs, right? We would be very shocked if we didn't go to playoffs. What's on our mind is just getting first place, I think. So locking playoffs is not something I care about too much because it's kind of expected. So the goal is just to come first. So that's all on my mind there.
I love that. I love that confidence also, and it's just the truth. Of course you were going to get to playoffs. Now, there's a lot of people still that are naysayers when it comes to Rogue and who don't put you in the same basket as a team like Mad Lions because you're maybe not as flashy always. What do you have to say to those people?
Well, I really don't care what other people think about us. I just want us to play the best as we can. We're not Mad Lions, we're not G2, we're Rogue, right? We play our game. We don't play like other teams. We just want to play like how we want to play. So, yeah, I don't really care what other guys are thinking. I just want to win, and that's all.
I love it. Thank you so much, Larssen. Congratulations. Keep going strong.
Thank you.
All right, we're going to take a quick break, and then we'll be back with those two clowns in PGL. Oh, it's right now. Is it? No. Okay. They didn't hear me.
Bye.
Bye.